live. How you guys doing? This is the DigiByte Comm Talk with special guest Torrey Grossman. So, this is really cool to have you on the show. I don't think many of us or many of the DigiByte community members know who you are. And for me, it was just like I was digging around and there you were. I was like, wait, this guy on this interview I saw is part of the DigiByte community, and it was absolutely so amazing. I'm going to have you start with. Oh, we got some comments already. Do it. Awake. Wow. All right, everybody's awake. All right, guys. So Torrey, I want you to explain a little bit of things. You have a life that's really grafted and intertwined with so many things. First of all, you are a soldier. Can you get into how you became a soldier?
Sure. Well, the year is 2020 right now, and the war started way back in 2001. And I joined the Army out of high school in 2008, and I didn't expect the war to be going on this long at all. Yeah, I just didn't know what I was going to do with myself in high school. I wanted to go to college, but the costs were so high that I didn't really know what I was going to do. So I didn't want to be like one of those guys that goes off, spends like $40,000 and comes home with nothing, I want to do something else. So I had a little bit of a soul introspective year, my senior year, and I decided to join the military and to go big or go home. I always thought of the military as like the infantry, So yeah. I was like, you know what, I want to go special ops, and at first I wanted to be like a Marine special ops, but the Marine recruiter showed up like late and really drunk, and my uncle was with me, and I went across the street to the Army recruiting place. He's like, you know what, let's just do that. My uncle was a Marine and in the Army. He got out as a lieutenant colonel, but they told me about this Ranger contract, and it caught my interest, and they said, if you do all these things, you can sign up now with like a guaranteed slot for to become a Ranger, but you can't mess up anything in between. It's like you have to pass all the requirements, and if I failed anything, I would have gone needs of the Army. A lot of pressure, but at the same time, that's what I wanted to do, so that's what I did.
Now, if our viewers haven't watched some of your interviews, now can you name off the top of your head some of your interviews and why you did those interviews? And could you really relate it back to your time in the trenches as a soldier leading up to your spiritual awakening?
Yeah, sure. So the interview that most people see is the Buzzsaw interview that I did with Sean Stone. Okay. And that was my breakout interview, and I've done a handful of others since, but I did one that it was on the same show as James Perloff, who's I respect James Perloff a lot. Yeah, that's the Buzzsaw one. That's the first one I did. And so I've done a handful of shows, and there's one that you can find that's not on YouTube I did with Susan Lindauer and Dale Pierce as a guest. Dude, I got exposed to some cover-ups and a lot of crazy stuff when I was in my tours of service, and
oh wow,
I was just you saw the interview, but
yeah.
I just felt compelled to come to speak out about the war, and to share some things, because our country was going down a direction that basically was leaving the war completely open-ended, no end in sight. We are losing our liberties on the home front. The real thing that scared me was that they had this drone initiative that was getting pushed through under Obama to build out this drone infrastructure over the U.S. and I was running like special ops missions overseas, and like, dude, we know what drones are used for.
Yeah.
And they're not for like the conversation on NPR was that that it was going to violate celebrity privacy rights. And meanwhile, I'm watching these things tracking, like they create a pattern of life on our targets, and they have capabilities to steal data, collect all this data on everybody, and then also target from the sky. And it's just like, this is like some serious stuff. And at the time that I first spoke out, I thought like Hillary Clinton was going to I thought she was going to steal the presidency. So I was like, I got to get ahead of this and start speaking out. But Trump got in, and I didn't think he was gonna be. I didn't expect him to do everything he's done, and I've since become a Trumper, and that surprised a lot of people. But
he's an average business guy that didn't really have a party to start with, and kind of he was a Democrat really, and then chose to be a Republican because he was running against major Democrats, and just he's a guy like you and me that was successful in the business. And he turned, for the most part, Manhattan from a gang and junkie street or city to it's something you can walk around that still smells, but you can still walk around and see some of the things that he's changed. And just to have just a regular guy that would get out of a limo because he saw somebody getting beaten up with a bat, and then save that guy's life from being completely, crushed by a baseball bat. He's just like you and I. And many people don't like people like you and I, especially when people are talking about truth and a pursuit of happiness and want to be free. We're really hanging on with some of the things in America that lost their identity, lost, themselves, just their family being destroyed by big tech and media, just completely dividing them, and they don't even see it. And it's some of the scariest things that we talked about, our fathers talked about, So we are living proof that America is so divided and lost its identity that it's really up to just people like us changing one day at a time. Because there is no revolution here. There is no standing up against the government to open people's eyes. The media literally has America wrapped, and it's just sad. And without getting too much into what I'm saying, I'm more interested in some of the things, how you got to that spiritual awakening, being and some of the things that you saw in the trenches while you were a soldier. I just want to take us back into some of those moments where your darkest hour, and then coming out, becoming a citizen. I just want to know that little bit of aspect there. If you,
sure.
You don't
I
mind.
want to first say that I'm in no way like affiliated with anything. I don't represent any, like, I'm not even a DigiB, but I love DigiByte. And so I'm just some guy like that. My opinions are my own, and some of them are controversial. So but that's the great thing about an open source platform that allows freedom of speech and liberty. And that's why I got drawn to DigiByte in the first place. But
that's awesome.
So the military stuff, I think there really is a spiritual battle going on the planet right now. And I see a really bright future, except that a lot of these shadows need to be brought to the surface. And people, you're talking about the media and stuff, all the polarization, but the people are clinging to the illusion right now.
Right.
And it's just drawing the shadow out in the open. And I think that's a good thing. I think that the media is basically in its death blossom right now. And I see I think we're in an eye of the needle situation. It's an interesting time to even be doing an interview because so much could happen in the next few weeks. And
exactly.
Some people think that Biden is the president already. And dude, I totally don't think that that's the case. I don't think that's going to be, but some people might get mad at me for that, but whatever, we'll see. I do think this has to end with sort of Nuremberg type trial and crimes against humanity exposed. I think that the corruption of the system needs to be exposed, because we're 2 decades into a war started on complete lies, and it's my belief that it was like an inside job terror attack, and it's an inside job with an asterisk, and that's like some of our allies were involved in that. We need to explore the asterisk, because the good people of our country we didn't really know what we were doing. I didn't know what I was like going off to fight in.
Right.
And there's a lot of really good people in the military, and it's just a shame that they like get us to like kind of to accept the just like what they're doing with the masks now. People are like accepting like the servitude of the masks. But I remember what we used to talk about when we stood around in just little huddles in the military, and we believed in something else than what it turned out to be, and that's what we were really fighting for. So the real like fight became like in coming home and realizing that the fight's not over.
Yeah.
Like we swore to protect the Constitution, like that, you know, that fight really began like when we got home. For me at least, despite being on, you know, Army Rangers, like we kicking in doors, and we were doing a lot of missions. We went after a lot of high value targets, and some of them actually like were high value. Like my platoon was involved in a raid that captured like the highest ranking guy in Afghanistan at the time. And we've made like international news a few times, but you know, part of that is like every time that we made international news, they manipulated it beyond even recognition for like what we were doing, what we thought we were doing on the ground, or like what we thought like the picture was. Like you wouldn't know it unless we knew that like that's what they were talking about, like us. But they'd like reported like, oh, these Afghan forces did this or something. Or like, okay, you know, there's like maybe like a few of them like on the mission, but we were the ones really doing it.
So what you're saying is when you're on the front lines of battle, there's a totally different narrative with the media that what you're actually doing.
Yeah, and that's to be expected. But when you see like things like, you know, 9/11 getting totally distorted, and then we lost the initiative. And when you're in war script, you gotta like bring it home, right?
Yeah.
You got. Otherwise, it's a big deal. So I think a lot of the stuff going on right now is like about bringing the war home, and finishing up with the initiative, and establishing our constitutional freedoms and rights into the digital domain and for the future. I see that playing out right now.
So, are you uncomfortable going and telling us some of the things in the trenches, how you came with your own battles over there overseas? And were you ever in a situation or backed in a corner where it was just you and this war? And how deeply did it affect you? And how did you wake up from that?
So we've talked a little bit before this. I'm a Christ follower, and I kind of am a little hesitant about saying like Christian, because I have some issues with the church, but because the church kind of fell asleep and allowed all this situation to happen. It's like, to me, it's considered like their responsibility to be the ones that kind of wake up and stop the evil, and we need to really have find our courage as Christ followers. But I grew up with a good foundation. But like, you know, you're doing things over there that are just, you're like forced to disassociate from it all. And like I have some issues with a lot of the stuff that we were doing, but
you're following orders.
Yeah. And then you're forced to come home and like be like, just go along with it, right? But like you're not allowed to ask the questions. And like when you're seeing on the news is trying to get us into war, like yet again, when we haven't even finished like the prior wars, or in fact they like tripled down, they like doubled down on it, and with like Libya, Syria, you know, they destabilized the whole Middle East. So that kind of spurred me back to action. But yeah, I think you're like referring to the alien experience that I had, though.
Yeah, was that kind of like a traumatic thing? Were you going through some times where you by yourself? Give me some details if you're okay with that.
Yeah. So I don't know what that experience like really means. I don't even know if it was like an alien or if it was like so for those of you who don't know or haven't seen my other interview, like I'm pretty open about this stuff. I've just like shared like pretty much like I didn't hold back and I just shared my whole experience. And part of that is that while I was deployed, I was in a dream abducted by a gray alien and another alien that like looked like beyond what I had ever seen any sort of frame of reference to hold it to. But I had like an abduction experience like in the military, and I could have been targeted by the military script. I don't know if it was really the like an alien, but like it really seemed like some sort of like multi-dimensional sort of like parasitic like entity. It could have even been like, dude, I'm really I think about this a lot, but I could have been a quantum computer in the future.
Okay.
But like, because a lot of people have had like these alien experiences, right? And
a lot. In fact, guys, for the viewers, in case we're going a little too deep for you, I'm in search of these things myself. I've had my own spiritual awakening as well, which are influenced by the sun, moon, and stars. That's really changed the course of my life, and found Jesus Christ and realized that He was my Lord and Savior, and He would wash away my sins. And I know that I have a record in heaven through the blood of Jesus Christ, who covers all sins. And it all started with those dreams. It all started with visions. It all started with things that God had to literally come out and say, "No, I want you." And I was not the best of people, if you might say, but it reaches all of us. God has a way of reaching everyone, and this is why I wanted to get into it with you, man. I mean, and the abductions, they're recorded in military. I mean, it's so detailed, it's unreal.
So, Script, what I think is happening right now, and I'm going out on a limb here, people. Like, I don't know what's going to happen in the next few months, but I've been following this for a long time, and I think that I'll share with you what I think is going to happen. I think that the intel agency corruption with the blackmail control profiles is part of a like deconstructed script to basically control demolition, the old guard framework of control, and to move us into the space age. We'll see how that plays out, but what is really going on, though, I think is that there's a spiritual awakening happening on the planet, and you see like a lot of this stuff happening. Like, dude, quantum internet is going to blow people's minds. Blockchain blows my mind, and I'm not like a professional computer guy or anything.
Neither am I.
Peer-to-peer, being able to interact with people peer-to-peer across the world, have non-fungible tokens, the advancements in virtual reality. There's a lot of different things that are digital assets, digi-assets, like stuff like that. It's going to create like a whole new economy of value, I believe, that cuts out this like old world legacy, like control structure, the financial system. And I believe like that system was like holding together the blackmail. So like as that system is collapsing, like the blackmail is being exposed, and this other thing like blockchain is like right there to support it. And part of this is that like it's a spiritual shift, and but we're seeing it first, like you and we've each had like our spiritual experiences that have like woken us up, and a lot of people are these days. But like we're like noticing it in the world around us, right?
Yeah.
And, like I think that's a reflection of something going on internally you believe that aliens are demons. You know, I don't know. I think that like technology itself could be like the devil. Like it, like it's like the technology could be like the Black Mirror. And I think that like, but there's this thing about like the I think that we are advancing to a point where like spiritually we're getting to like to a singularity point where like we're forced to like evolve our relationship with technology. And like I recognize like the technology is like has a lot of potential to be a bad thing, but I also recognize that it has a lot of potential if I can like overcome that by practicing and developing myself spiritually, like rising up above it. Like I can beat that. I can be above the like the draw, the sinkhole of like what technology has to bring to the bad to the world, and like I can just upgrade my relationship with the technology spiritually. And I think that's what we're being forced to do. Because
Can I interject with some of the things you're saying? Things that really I've studied, and I've studied my personal studies in Ezekiel, where Ezekiel's standing there on the being from the exile from Jerusalem, and the people of Judah being taken over by the Babylonians, and he sees a vision from the north, and he sees a fire like in a portal, a fire unfolding itself. This is Ezekiel chapter 1, by the way, and four living creatures come out of it. I don't, and these things are holding a glass wheels, four wheels with eyeballs around it, with glass, and on the very top, some kind of throne, and one like the Son of Man on it. And this is like types and pictures of Jesus Christ in the second coming of Christ. But without getting too biblical or doctrinal about it, the way it describes the wheel within the wheel, the way it describes the metal, shiny brass wheels that stand on the ground. Guys, I don't know what a UFO is. I mean, to me, even that vision that Ezekiel had appeared to be, he didn't know what it was. He described it the best way he could, and maybe it could have been described exactly the way he described it, but even then, it's unidentified. It doesn't matter if it comes from God or an enfolding fire, like some kind of portal. There's records of this. Now, I have I am aware of Satan's devices. And that's one of the things the Bible talks about, being aware of Satan's devices. We need to be aware of those things. He is called the prince of the power of the air. Now, Satan is the prince of the power of the air. What's air? Well, we have air molecules. We have radio waves. We have all these things that we tinker around with. And there are evil spiritual beings, and they're benevolent and malevolent. There is a spiritual warfare in the air. And my thing is I know there's two. There's an absolutes in both. We know that there's evil in the world. We know that there's good. I mean, those are absolutes, just as light and darkness. I mean, you have those characters, God and the devil, all through the Bible, and it really plays an intricate role within our struggle as humanity, as imperfect creatures, reaching perfection and walking out our lives the best we can, really connect with our spiritual selves in that way, and having a guiding light from a superior being, from the creator of the world, is something that can really be really hard to explain. And but this, you're right, man. Everything that's happening around the world, and all the things that they're doing with this election, and there's things on both sides: Republicans, Democrats, libertarians, deep state, Illuminati, whatever you might call it. We are against Prince of the powers of the air. I mean, when you look at TV, you have, what do you call when you flip back and forth channels? Channels. Channel 9, Channel 5, Channel 4. These things are directly bringing us an input to that we allow to control our minds. I mean, literally zombies. But I have a channel that comes straight from God, and that's the Holy Bible. I mean, that's Holy Writ. That's the Word of God. It has to come from somewhere other than the prince of the power of the air. But there are benevolent, benevolent angels, spiritual beings, UFOs. There are and evil spirits. I mean, UFOs. They're out there, guys. It's not just UFOs are evil. I mean, for thousands and thousands of years, they're called not aliens, but angels. So, I mean, there is a dividing line. We just need to be careful in what we, subject our mind to in our soul and spirit. And we have to have those defining factors. We need to be able to have discernment of the spirits, because these spirits are benevolent and malevolent.
Totally. We have to face our demons, really,
yeah,
and reconcile them, because like technology is a demon in of itself. When I first did the Buzzsaw interview, like I was trying to get away from technology altogether. I didn't know anything about crypto. I'd been living in a tent for a year and a half in Hawaii. I was working on a permaculture farm, and like that was my way to to deprocess like the military. And I did a 10-day silent meditation retreat, and then I just decided, you know what, now's the time to speak out. And I don't know if people remember, but that was like right around when Nibiru was coming back, and like everyone was like peak crazy at the time. So I was just like, you know what, screw it, I'm going to speak out. I need to like just establish my ground spiritually. And I think that like that's just going to keep happening. People are going to be like, all the world right now is trying to be very invasive on us, whether it's the putting a mask on our face or like getting a vaccine on us. And like they want to do, they introduced the HR 6666. Like that should be like concerning to anybody. That's not a call to action. I don't know what is. So
it's not a coincidence, guys.
So like blockchain could either be like a liberating factor that like establishes like our ability to stay like, to have more peace and prosperity out into the future, or it could be like an immediately enslaving factor that like is just going to spiral us into like a big struggle. And I like DigiByte because from the ground up, like it's very the Genesis block, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the data that was stolen. And it just goes to show, like Jared was thinking about the fact that like we have no security on the internet as it is right now. Anybody can anybody with the know-how can look behind the scenes. They can steal anybody's data. We have no control over our own data. We're just being like harvested by big tech, and they're not held to account. So I think that like DigiByte, because of the decentralization that it has and the integrity that was built into the system from early on, it's the long slow route that creates itself as like this foundational thing that could even be like a public utility in the future. Because like right now, I mean, we're using like when people use like YouTube or something, like that should be a public utility, but you have to go through these companies, and they're messing up all the responsibility. They're censoring everybody. They're fighting it for political this or that, pushing agendas. It should be a public utility, and something like DigiByte, I mean, you really need to have the centralization and the like integrity built into the system. A lot of crypto projects don't have that.
Yeah, in fact, DigiByte, guys, we all know DigiByte's been doing security and really pushing the envelope like Anti-ID, Digi-ID, and all these things for security for the individual users that could be used right now. It has a perfect and great use case it's a cryptocurrency, just like all these other cryptocurrencies that could be used today. I don't understand why these other cryptocurrencies aren't there. I mean, they're going together with other cryptocurrencies. They're not using the DigiByte technology, and all you hear is hack. I mean, that's all you hear. And we have the solution in Digi-ID implementation, DigiByte Anti-ID. I mean, it's built for security. It's built for you and I. And it is getting better. It is getting better. We need more awareness. And I hate to kick the can again, but we need to do everything we can. And that's why I do the show. I mean, I was asked to do the show by Crypty Girl. I've been trying to get her on the show. I haven't asked her yet to do a video with me yet. But there was a need for more awareness, more talks, and that's why, I'm trying to gather up the community, man. See, like these people that are watching, if they didn't know who you were before, they know who you are now, Torrey. And I challenge every one of them to go follow his YouTube. You do have a YouTube channel.
I mean, I do. I'm like, I'm not like somebody that you like want like representing like your money, right? Because I am Fringe. At least I love how Fringe this show is.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I love the like script. You're an honest guy, and you're hilarious. And even then, like when I first saw the name, I was like, Script Skynet. No, that's not what we want. But it's like, here we are, like talking, and we have you have a platform to like talk about it, and it's like we're not trying to script Skynet, literally.
Right? No, it's my cryptocurrency name. It's a. That is funny because I've lost a lot of viewers just because I had a Terminator with a DigiByte logo on its head.
Funny.
Just think about it this way, guys. I'm a reprogrammed Terminator from the future to lead people to DigiByte. Truth be told.
Yeah, I'm pretty Fringe. I don't like really. I never liked attention on me. Like I don't like public speaking. That's probably why I like joined the military. But I've had like some like I'm getting an echo right now, but
oh, are you?
It's gone.
You're good here.
I've had some experiences that are like, oh man, I'm getting it again. Shoot.
I can hear you fine. We're recording fine.
Okay. Dude, I started speaking out because the military was just agenda was going down like a really dark path, and everything from police militarization to like the drones to all the data collection that they have. And I think we really need to we need to finish the military agenda, like the war. It needs to be brought to an end. I think the criminals need to be held to account, and we need to establish our rights and our freedoms into the new digital age, so that we don't have an environment that just like is predatory on our people. Whether, the Federal Reserve, the value of the dollar has just gone down and down and down ever since it was created. And so I'm a big fan of the potential that blockchain has, but I am aware of the reasons why people are suspicious of it in the first place. And that's why we got to fight.
Yeah.
We got to fight for the values to be encapsulated into the future. Otherwise, even the idea of having like a digital ID, I mean, that's like a controversial thing in and of itself too. I mean, that could be a really good thing or a really bad thing.
Well, yeah. So far, it's given back our sovereignty on DigiByte technology, blockchain technology. I try to explain it like this with logging in with Antim ID or DigiID with passwords and my DigiPassword, logging in. It's using the blockchain for like stamping your login, so no one can hack it. You're generating a two-factor authentication. The picture the DigiID DigiByte blockchain is like a spinning ball at this one location, and all of a sudden, somewhere along the spinning ball, you logged in, and ain't no one from any social media platform going to be able to enter into that spinning ball because they have to have your keys, your biometrics, all those things that you need that's tied into your special login, they need, and they don't have it. All they have is this super, high-end tech blockchain called DigiByte, and they can't figure out how to access your identity.
Which opens up a lot of potential for good things.
Yeah.
I'm really interested what Digi Assets is going to produce in the future.
Well, we have Digi Asset X, which is an exchange. December 1st, there's going to be some kind of soft launch. and Digi Assets it's going to make some moves. I mean, it's going to be a DigiByte exchange. It's
Okay.
the creator and some of the people behind it are literally from the core team. Matthew Cornelius, who created DigiID. So you have that launching, and it's the next evolution towards a safe exchange, a secure exchange, and it's going to be phenomenal. In fact, this should be, I mean, we don't like to hype anything up, but I'm hyped about it. I mean, it's something that was talked about before COVID-19 about a year ago, guys, and it's just now coming out in a soft launch. So you can probably call it a test net, a trial, and guys, we need to get that more out there on social media and get more awareness for that. And I can't wait for all those things to work together in Digi Assets and see what happens, because the possibility is endless and it's going to continue to grow. I've had more comments on your live interview than I've ever had before. So I'm trying. I'm trying to get. I don't even. Hey, if you guys have any questions for Torrey Grossman, please ask a question. But everybody seems to like it. In fact,
Golden Bulldozer, yeah. Okay, I'll share some visions that I've had for DigiByte. What I think is
we got some visions. Okay, well, you guys ready?
I know the Golden Bulldozer one from Jay Snips.
Okay.
But,
yeah.
So I think that BTC is like a snowplow, and it just keeps hitting these major banks, and just every time it like boosh, just plows through, but it slows down at certain times, and LTC is right there behind it. When it slows down, LTC like bumps it from behind, and it just boom hits through the new bank. And DGB is it's like skiing behind it, like going across the banks, having way more fun, catching up way more of the sides. And after a certain point, I thought that DGB is going to throw a lasso around the two and bring them together. I don't know why, but okay. And then the other one is BTC is like a golden hill, a golden castle up on a hill, and LTC is like a silver skyscraper that reaches the clouds, and DGB, a bunch of DGBs with ropes, like pickaxes, shovels, like they can climb, they can dig, they can get, and they get into these.
Why not?
They're like an army that like occupies these structures.
Now, is this a vision that you've had, or is it something that
I thought like, what's a cool way to visualize what I think is going on here? I mean, who knows what's going to happen, but
I mean,
there's
just so much. There's so much potential for DigiByte. It affects each person in a different way, and it's really cool that we can coerce and talk and engage with, because this is a DigiByte community talk. That's what the DigiByte Comm Talk is. It's for you guys and it's for us. I mean, I'm trying to get everybody. I mean, I only have so many hours in the day. I already had one interview of CoinBook this morning, and then it was ice raining outside. And now to hear, the Golden Bulldozer for DigiByte is.
So, Bulldozer one too.
If there's any,
it does the work, and I think it'll pay off in the end. And it because LTC, they're just kind of freeloading off of BTC a little bit, but they're also the test net for BTC, the way I understand it.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Symbiotic. And DGB, it's like creating the user application for it, and whether it's the Anthem ID or the Digi Assets, I think it's going to be really big. I can't wait to see what the high school generation, the next generation of high schoolers that just get their hands on it. Like, I never got into TikTok. I never before my time, but that's after my time. But I'm excited to see what the high schoolers do as far as an exchange of value with Digi Assets. because they kind of paved the way a lot of times.
So digi assets will be a little bit easier to understand and use. That's the goal. And yeah, I just can't wait until it actually does. I mean, Gen Z, like Crypty Girl, she's part of the Gen Z uh, generation, and the thing is she's super psyched about it. She's learning all she can, and and that's what's going to happen. I mean, people are going to be fed up with their 9 to 5 jobs, making $9 an hour, and there's no future. They already went to college. They had to spend 150 grand paying it back. What are they going to do? I mean, hopefully the point of this interview and the point of outreaching the community, we're able to shake some people up and say, wake up. You know what I mean? In all aspects of their life. You know, you don't have to go that route that we chose. You know, it's good to have these testimonies about Torrey. And in fact, let's get back to some of those things. So how did you get into crypto from being a soldier to a spiritual awakening to a citizen? Where did DigiByte come and play? Where did cryptocurrency come into your life? That was it the same pretty much that you hear around everywhere else, or how'd that happen?
Well, first I was really suspicious of it, and I thought like I don't want anything to do with that because it sounds like it could be the Skynet. But then I realized like, wait a second, like I need to learn from all sides. Like people use email who never wanted to use email. They never thought they were going to be using email. Now they're all using email. Like, could this be a good thing? And so I didn't know about DigiByte until like a year after I started researching. But I was actually gifted some Bitcoin right at the very peak of the 2017 thing.
Yeah.
Somebody gave me $20.
Oh wow.
And I'm like, oh, and I saw it go up for like the next couple of weeks, and I went out and like bought my family like Bitcoin for Christmas. Spent like $300 on Christmas presents, and then it just started like. So I waited and I waited, and then I got down to like 3,000, and I noticed the bottom. I'm like, that's the bottom. So I started buying back in, and then I did a lot of researching, and I've been on this like nonstop stream of researching cryptocurrency, geopolitics. I'm thinking about like what's coming with the Space Force and future emerging technologies. And like blockchain really is a disrupting technology that is going to absorb, I think, probably an exponential more than what the internet did. And, you know, think about how crazy it was, how much is on the internet right now. It's like, it was back in the 90s, we didn't really think that it was going to be the way that it is now. I imagine back in the 80s, they're sending like these little communications and stuff. Like I'm thinking like my car could be on the blockchain. My house could be on the blockchain. I bought a house, which I was basically like, I had no reason not to, because my dad told me he'd help me with the down payment because never had any money for college or anything. And at a certain point he says, hey, like I want to do this before you, it was going to be like one after I die, but I'd rather do it for you now and help you on a down payment on a house. And then I used the VA loan, so I had no reason not to. And but the closing costs are like $5,000, and it takes like a month to do it. And I realized like everybody in that office building is going to be out of a job.
Wow.
Right? Like, and,
yeah, you had that foreknowledge.
I mean, you just start to put it together. Like blockchain is going to cut out all the waste, and it's going to be like the road that everything is going to be moving over to a blockchain. I believe like everything on the internet right now, I believe will be on the blockchain, and a lot of things that aren't on the internet right now are going to be on the blockchain as well. And so like we got Elon Musk putting all these satellites up that are the Starlink system that could have global internet within the next 5 to 10 years. And they're doing it at an alarming rate because their rockets are able to go up and come back down and be reused. So it's happening way quicker than people realize. So we potentially have like a global internet and banking all the unbanked in the world. And there's a huge portion of the world that's unbanked right now. I'm a script.
Yeah, there is.
To a buddy of mine in Africa that I knew growing up, and he's a pastor in Africa.
Yeah.
He's got like a congregation, so I send him money every month, and like it's just a ministry that we're doing, and I love doing it. And but the Western Union takes like 10-15% every time, and it's a pain in the butt. It's like
it is.
He can't even hold a bank account open because in Africa, he lives in the Congo, that it costs $10 a month to hold a bank account open because they got so much corruption over there. So they're not banked. He makes $70 a month in his job as a pastor, which from what I hear is like more than most people.
Oh yeah.
So $70 a month, which is about average or above average over there. From what I gather, could be wrong about that. But then $10 a month to hold a bank account open. But they already have cell phones. So if this new global internet comes online in the next 5 years, which I think it could, they already have the cell phone. They are going to have a bank in their pocket. They can have economic they create new localized economies beyond anything Africa's ever been able to do, and they're going to cut out like 200 years of infrastructure that the West built that will become obsolete.
Let's hope so.
I think so. Yeah, I hope so too. I want to see Africa do really well.
You recognize this?
I do. Special Forces.
Now, I have no affiliation there, but I have a pastor that's, he was in the Army, right after World War II. We're really a soldier up mentality at our church. And it's just one of the ministries that we formed. And we said, if anybody's caught doing something that's against what we believe in the Bible, strip this off their backs. Like, just strip it. I mean, we mean business. And I also have, ever since COVID-19, we've been trying to figure out ways to still maintain devotionals, messages, preaching to our community, which is in the church, the body of Christ, and because it limits our capacity. We can have like over 1,000 people in our church, but we are literally 50% capacity. Probably a lot less now, but we started this thing on Zoom in our own secured Old Pass Baptist Church, our own secured site where we own the night.
Nice.
That's right. And we do that. We do that for because there's a lot of hurting people. There's a lot of youth out there that really needs guidance, and they know nothing about anything. And it's just a real cool thing to be a part of for people that don't know anything. They don't know about big tech and media taking advantage of our households and splitting up our families. They don't know anything in this world that is literally going on behind with the deep state. They don't know why we're fighting these wars. They don't know why this, why that. They don't know anything about money. They don't know anything about cryptocurrency. They really don't know what liberty really is or free thinking people are. And 9/11, what really happened there, which we have a ton of facts. I mean, I've watched one of the documentaries with Jason Burmis with Loose Change. I mean,
oh yeah,
absolutely crazy stuff. But people are literally, they're tired of this world. It doesn't matter where you're at in life. They're tired of this world. They want something new. And that's why I'm faithfully ministering to younger people. I have a ministry house for young men. We had a scare about something about COVID, but it ends up no one had COVID. And then, so it's just one of those things that, I do things for young men that they couldn't do them for themselves. And I just wanted to be able to give back to the community. And within that process, I have to be careful. I can't just straight out go to them and talk about some, Epstein stuff or something or a child pedophilia ring in Hollywood and political figures. I can't just do that. They'll look at me like I'm freaking crazy. But the thing is it baby steps with these people. I baby steps, and I really have to explain what fiat is and how our money system really works today. And there it still goes over their head. And I try to go with the baby steps of, why don't you look at this documentary about money, you know? And I had a friend. He's my best friend, in fact. He's in the ministry with me. We were in prison together a while back, and I tried to tell him 3 years ago about cryptocurrency, money, fiat, and he texted me saying, "Hey, man, you didn't explain it good enough." I was like, "Well, I probably maybe explained it a little bit more detail." He said, "Simple enough." Like this other preacher. So I was listening to this other preacher, and sure enough, he was super simple about our fiat money and how it came to be. But the thing is like, he wasn't searching it. I was trying to tell him, since he was already awoke to the Bible and the truth. And I was trying to give him some tidbits about our money because he was wanting to invest in stocks and all that. And I was like, whoa, that might be a scary thing, especially bonds and all that. That's literally tanking. And I just wanted to save him from all that. And I can't just say, no, do Bitcoin or do Litecoin, do DigiByte, do Ethereum. I couldn't even tell him any of that because he has to understand what his dollar's doing for him now. He has to understand that $100 bill is $3. He has to understand these things. You know what I mean? It's like, he did come out of it though. He said the Bible verse, the borrower is slave to the lender. And that's so true. If you're borrowing money, guys, you are a slave to that to pay it back with interest. So, I mean, if you're in any debt, pay that off and make sure you're in the clean. And that's why I'm all in with, DigiByte. I'm all in because I believe in DigiByte, the community.
Other cryptos?
What's that?
You don't hold any other cryptos? You're all DigiByte?
I used to have 20. I used to have 20 different cryptos.
That's pretty explosive. I mean, I love DigiByte. It's my favorite, but it's like 1/3.
1/3? Oh,
no.
Man. I was like, you know what? I'm all in, man. I'm all in.
1/3 DigiByte, 1/3 Theta, and the other third is split up between some that I like Link, Dot, EWT. I think is going to be have a really cool use case in the future. But DigiByte's my favorite by far. I mean, just because the community, the integrity, I feel most comfortable having it because I don't want to hold something that I'm going to be like feel bad about in the future because I don't want to script Skynet. But I see the utility of blockchain, and I don't think people are going to become Amish, give up technology. Would I like a world without technology? Yeah, I would, but that's not going to happen. And I see right now a competition of values between Chinese communism and a restoration of American values that founded our nation that we have lost over time. But I think this is a really interesting point in history where these two forces are battling it out. And dude, I don't want the social credit score top down government control, huge government control.
No, we don't want China over here. We don't want Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego names. We don't want to be slaves to the system. We want less government, like Reagan said. We want less government and more people unite to our perspectives of liberty and justice for all. We don't need the overbranching
freedom of religion. You don't have to be Christian. I wouldn't judge you, anybody listening to this, if they didn't want, they don't like the fact that we're talking about it. But freedom of religion is really important. The Chinese communists, look at what they're doing to the Muslims over there. I mean, look at what we've done to Muslims in the Middle East. That's why we need to take responsibility and bring that to a close. But that ties right back to the financial system as well, as far as why we're in the Middle East.
Yeah.
But personal property, freedom of religion, free market values, and these things like DigiByte would thrive. Like if you're gonna have a central bank digital currency, and they just kill the whole crypto market, something like that's like the Chinese communist sort of route, and the spirit gets suffocated in that route. It'll just cause way more problems down the road. Like there's way more prosperity and growth through the free market and like the founding principles for our nation if they can be reestablished at this point in history, I believe.
We need to expose a lot more corruption. Like Ted Cruz talking to Jack Dorsey on Twitter. He just surfaced stuff. I mean, it was really good stuff within the community and whatnot in the Senate. But man, there needs to be more exposure. There needs to be more uprooting evil.
I believe it's coming.
I mean, it's just like, all right, we'll deal with you and we'll deal with you. You keep doing this, we'll deal with you. And one compounds on another. One Epstein story comes out with the truth about the pedo rings. And all of a sudden that story is covered up with COVID. And then that story is covered up with the election fraud. And that story is covered. Guys, wake up.
I believe it's coming, Script. I think that, it's being set up in a way that like it looks like it's coming to some sort of crescendo moment. If I had to guess, I would say January, February timeframe.
January, February.
Yeah, and like Steve Bannon mentioned back in I think June, he said this whole thing ends with Nuremberg type trials for crimes against humanity in Wuhan, China, and he said that it's going to hold the CCP accountable and hold the Western deep state accountable. He mentioned Kissinger and Rockefeller. He said anybody who sold out America to China and the Communist Chinese Party like is going to be held accountable. And I think that that's what is just gearing up towards.
Shoot, that kind of exposure goes all the way back, in the CIA with the first Bush administration, or older.
Yeah,
because that's a lot of exposure. That's what we need. We need to get it all out. Well, where it's no more conspiracy.
The Communist Party was created in part because of the global financial structure that props up communism and pitches global powers against each other, right? So they're victims of it as well. They're the main victims of communism. And I think that there's a force within China that wants to see that. We have to wait and see how this plays out. But I think there's a force in China that wants to see that they want a new Chinese federation, and they want to reclaim their true history, their true power. They don't want to have this oppressive force. And I think that they're holding that central banking structure, which is at the root of it, to account. That's where the human trafficking stuff is supporting, and that's where the two-tier justice system is. And we really got to do that if we're going to move confidently into a space economy and crypto economy. We need to instill trust in the system again. So that's what I'm praying for is going to happen. And we're getting down to crunch time, so we'll find out what happens.
We really are. And anybody wants to ask Torrey a question, go ahead. Any questions in here? I really had a great talk with you, man. I mean,
it was fun.
You guys go look at his YouTube page and look Torrey Grossman. Look at some of the interviews he's had, guys. I mean, I'm just blessed to have him on this channel and being a part of the DigiByte community. I mean, how awesome is that? And making everybody else aware that this is our guy. He believes in there it is, blockchain 2035. Ain't that awesome? Did you read all that yet, or are you still?
Yeah, I read it. This book taught me more about blockchain than almost anything else. It's Jared is definitely a well-rounded genius. And he co-authored this. It's not like pumping up DigiByte the whole time. It just does a really good explanation of all the different factors, whether it be here it says Internet of Things, cybersecurity, government, fintech, Web 3.0, geopolitics, cryptography, artificial intelligence. It also talks about quantum computing, global financial stuff.
Very humble guy, Jared Tate. In fact, there was just a little portion about DigiByte.
Mm-hmm.
And not to mention, he was one of the first blockchain founders and creators that came out publicly. So DigiByte's among of the first of many firsts.
I want to answer that question that somebody just put up there. The problem is both sides are steering us to this. There is no hero.
Sure.
That is true. The technocracy is going to win. And that's why we need to just evolve our understanding of our relationship to technology and grow spiritually to meet the challenge. That's the only way, because the technocracy historically wins every time. And most people, the conversation is never even about the technocracy. They're talking about other polarizations back and forth, and technocracy wins either way. But this is like the crossroads is that, like, do we want the communist China style technocracy with they broadcasted it out there with the World Economic Forum. They're talking about like no personal property by the year 2030, I believe. That's what they want. They want to take away our individuality. They want to take away our personal property.
Don't let it happen, guys.
No. So free market, like American values that will establish, more growth for like the next century could be like way better with American values reestablished now. I think it's like revolutionary 2.0 time frame that we're in right now.
So there's another question from the same viewer, Raymond Key.
Okay. How do I see DBG get into the space economy? So I think the economy of the future is not going to be so much as far as like money goes that we think of right now, and it'll be like an economy of value. And digi assets, I think, it can play a role in that. That is you've yet to really understand the grasp of like how valuable that could be. I think it could be like kind of back to the wampum bead era, which I always thought was a cooler system, the like wampum bead system.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think we're going back to like this sort of, have you seen any of my other interviews? I talk about like the sacred hoop and the flowering stick and like in kind of Native American philosophies. And I think cryptocurrency is like the new form of like wampum, or it's like an agreed upon value that, fiat is a very small scale, like failed experiment. It's just a blip in the pan as far as the time frame that we've been experimenting with fiat. And then not everybody can carry a bunch of gold or silver on them. So crypto and like non-fungibles and digi assets, digital scarcity is going to become like extremely valuable, I believe.
That's the thing. I mean, before the internet, guys, we needed fiat, we needed cash, we needed something. And it was sad it's not backed by gold anymore or silver or anything like that. I mean, the people that was extremely greedy got in the middle of all that, but with our sovereignty of money. But thing is, once the internet came out, the power of information, the power of speedy information, this evolving information, it went mainstream before security even happened. Security should have been probably one of the best foundations we should have started with first. But who knew where we were going? I mean, information overload, information speed, and there's no security procedures. I mean, McAfee said himself, his security system is no good.
Well, I think that they did that on purpose because they knew that it needed to be encrypted, but they couldn't have started that way. And so like, because now they spread out all the hardware, the infrastructure's in place, right?
Yeah.
And they needed to do that first. And now they can do the encryption and in order, they create incentivized, it's an incentivized system. So like, it's a win-win-win. And I think of blockchain technology like it's kind of like Lego pieces.
Yeah.
And it's like they incentivize you to be like, oh, build with ours. And so it's just like it's this organic, really free-flowing thing. And Jared actually talks about that in this. And Jared about how it's like it emulates nature. but I think they knew that they couldn't start off with an encrypted model because it wouldn't get the amount of growth that they needed.
Yeah.
So they like allowed the seed to be planted, and now it's the encryption model moves in. And this is controversial, but I think that like once we go full blown crypto, I think I think we're gonna be an interplanetary civilization once we do. And I think we have like there are off-world elements, I believe. I don't know for certain, but I think that there are. And I think that once we get plugged into the cryptographic like internet, like we will already be an interplanetary civilization. And
in a way, yeah, interplanetary. You're looking at things that we can't see that are secured by blockchain technology that is decentralized. The more hidden features about us that are hidden, like airways are hidden unless if you take some kind of finder, like, and then cast it on a screen. The more hidden features about humanity, the more evolved we will be with our technology. I mean, maybe in time we won't even need a house. It's just some kind of bubble around us. I don't know.
Bubble like that. I mean, it's an interesting. So much is happening that like such amazing amounts of change are happening right now that it's there's so much potential for good and for bad. I would stress that people like, especially with the beginning of this next bull run, like we need to be like detoxing and focusing on our spiritual growth and our personal health, mental health, and
absolutely.
Ever.
I mean, this year, man, this past year and this year has been probably some of the most knowledgeable things ever since ever since the Bible. I mean, I don't even have the Bible all down pat, but I'm pretty in depth with my knowledge and applying those principles and fundamentals, just how to be a good standing knowing that I'm saved Christian, and knowing that I'm faltered and I have problems within myself, and just developing that relationship with the Lord to use me to reach people for heaven, and eternal security. But there's so much more on top of that, because we live in a world that's so crazy. And if it wasn't for me, if it wasn't for God, finding me in my lowest times and darkness of hours in my life at such a young age, and being able to get put through the system's ringer, man. I've been, prison a few times. I've been incarcerated over 2 years. I've been all these things. I was a troublemaker, a drug addict, a drug dealer. I printed money. I printed hundreds, 50s, 20s, $5 were a little hard. Tens, the old 20s, the old 10s, the old hundreds. Very easy for me to print with the HD printer. Guys, do not do that, because there's a little bit more in-depth techniques to make it actually passable or believable, but I won't go into that. But the thing is like, man, I look back, I'm thankful for all those things. I'm thankful for God. I'm thankful for my family. There's a lot of people in my family that they weren't able to see where I've come today. And I just want to be able to, knowing that they missed out on that, I want to be able to improve myself. And the DigiByte community and DigiByte itself, just getting wrapped your head around what blockchain is. I think Jared is one of those really great explainers. And for us to have a book like 2035 is really cool. Just to have that kind of understanding with this leading edge phenomenon, to be able to use it in our day-to-day lives, like Digi Assets. We need to learn about it. We need to learn how to use it. We have DigiByte SoCal, really pushing that to the limits of how to use it. Concepts, proof of concepts. And then we have Digi ID and Atom ID, my Digi Password, U-Trust, and all these things that Digi ID stands for. We need to use it, and things that we need to learn within ourselves, and take in a lot of knowledge, download a lot of stuff, make sure it's the right stuff. You don't want to get learn about one little intricate thing about Ethereum and then learn a bunch of DigiByte and not really get the whole picture of Ethereum. I can get really lost. I just need to stick with one program and really get a grasp of that first. And man, and I believe that's why I'm so attracted to the community, because with relationships, is because I've had those times where, I was facing death, man. I mean, I was facing uncertainty, and it took a community to get me where I needed to be. And it took God to really point that direction out. First, he pointed back to my family, but my family didn't want the new Sean. They didn't want who's that? We can deal with the old Sean. Just bring us half the old Sean so we can manipulate him. But we don't want this Jesus Christ follower. Who's this? Whoa.
Here it is, folks. We know his name now.
No, cover that up.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So you guys know. That's why I have Scripps kind of as an S. In fact, my last name's S too. So if you want to really dive deep. But the thing is like, we need to know as much knowledge as we can with DigiByte and communicate with the community. And it's just really cool. I see Phil here says y'all need to do this like once a month. Thanks, Script, for introducing us Torrey. He's a cool dude. Yes, in fact, guys, again, you guys need to check out his older interviews or recent interviews. In fact,
it's up to you.
You guys, I mean, we do have 12 watchers. We at one point in time we had 14, 15 watchers. We've covered everything from soldiers, aliens, spiritual awakenings to DigiByte technology and the community and security of it. If you guys have any questions for Torrey before we go here, I advise you to do that. It seems like people in here are like helping others about learning Digi assets and receiving Digi assets through their wallet. So that's pretty cool. Behind the scenes, while we're talking, there's actual community members helping out other people that don't get Digi assets. Now they have some Digi assets. Oh wait, see, this is proof. These are the most pristine assets. Here, take those. So there are people helping this is what the DigiByte community is all about. And we weren't even involved. That was just the chat doing that.
Well, thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate just coming on. I mean, it's just fun. I didn't expect it. He hit me up last night, so I didn't really prepare anything. And I was but we are in the same community, and we both love DigiByte.
Yeah. In fact, when I watched your Buzzsaw interview, you guys talked about Tillman, and I remember after 9/11, because I was in my early 20s, that a guy from the Arizona Cardinals gave up millions of dollars contract to play football to serve our country, to fight a war with his older brother. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, but the whole United States idolized.
Mm-hmm.
He somehow turned into an idol where it literally, in fact, guys, go watch it again, because this is like one of the main catalysts of why it's the Tillman story on YouTube. It's free. Main catalyst why the war over there in Afghanistan continued with words like terrorism, weapons of mass destruction. It's a spiritual warfare. I mean, a holy war. These things.
I'll just let everybody know. I was in Pat Tillman's unit, the same exact unit after he was killed. So I got exposed to his cover up. And,
dude, I didn't know that.
That's what I talk about it in the Buzzsaw interview. That's what I originally started to speak out about. And I just put it all together, the alien thing, or like just my feelings towards the war, my suspicions about the direction things were going. And I was in Tillman's unit, and I got my leadership pulled me aside and told me and confided in me that there was a lot more to what happened to him than what we were being told. And so I could see the cover up from a certain perspective. They'd brief us not to talk about it. They'd have a sign that says do not talk about Pat Tillman on the side of the CQ desks that only we could see and the visitors couldn't see it. So we'd all been briefed, like, don't talk about this. And yet we have like a memorial gym named after him, and they have this whole, he was this national hero and stuff. And, that's what we're trying to, that's what we're up against right now, is that they do something and then they turn it around and spin it as the opposite. And
exactly, because you joined the platoon or the group that actually had Tillman, that football player. He wasn't shot by the Taliban. He was shot by friendly fire, right? And it was just a mistake. I mean, right?
That wasn't. That's what I was saying. Is that people suspect that. Sorry, guys, this is at the very end of this broadcast, but like,
we're getting deep now.
Tillman was found with 3 of our rounds in his forehead, like this. 3.
Point blank. Within
10 meters. And this is why I'm so like adamant about like the CIA needs to get like exposed for their corruption, because we would go out on missions with these guys that like didn't need to be, that they could have like scrubbed from the manifest and stuff. And like, if you look into Tillman's thing, like he was on Jessica Lynch's rescue mission, which was a total PR stunt. He was upset that we were in Iraq. He found out about the opium in Afghanistan. I found out about 9/11. Things that I found out about after signing up originally. And he was assassinated for planning on speaking out about the war like right after he got home, because he'd contacted Noam Chomsky and was gonna speak out about the war. And right before he could, on his last deployment, they had this like mission that was like abnormal because there was no real target. They were just going to like recover a Humvee that, they just parked a Humvee out in the desert, and they're like, oh, okay, we're going to go get this Humvee. It's like, well, I know we like go after people that they build their whole pattern of life around them, that we're going after specific targets. Like they split up his platoon, and they like took incoming fire, and Tillman ended up like bounding forward with one other person from what I gather. And then like never came back. And his famous last words are like, I'm effing Pat Tillman. And then you hear like, Brah. And so his family found out about it, and his platoon got basically split up after the war, after they came back from that deployment. And I spoke with somebody who while I was in Ranger School, who was in the platoon, and he pulled me aside and said, like, you need to know this. So this whole war, we need to end the war. We need a homecoming for the troops, and we need to like.
What do you think about President Trump bringing back the troops? What do you think about that?
I think Trump is awesome. I think some of the things he does are like controversial, but if you like, dude, I'll read like George Soros's book. Like, I don't like George Soros. I didn't like Trump, and I read his book because I didn't understand who he was. So I start to read. I need to learn from these people. And when I started to learn from him and realize that like he's actually trying to do these things, and he's actually making the type of progress, making waves in the way that he'd get attacked like that, it's like we have to support him, because the people that are trying to get rid of him are the same ones that like brought in to cover up 9/11, exact same guys. And I knew that before, I knew that from speaking with Susan Lindauer. And so I saw this playing out, and I voted Green Party in 2016, and I ended up like becoming a full-blown Trumper after about a year of watching him silently without coming up with a judgment on him after he entered office. But he's getting us out of the war, and I believe he's taking on the central banking system, and he's taking on their system of blackmail, and he's doing the Space Force stuff. So Trump is like, okay, he never gives up, and he thinks big. So don't underestimate him.
and he'll fire you. I mean, he'll fire you if you're not doing your job. Here's the title: do your job. You're not doing your job, you don't get the title.
I got $1,000 on him swearing into office.
Well, I really do believe if the election just continues just to get washed under with some COVID-2 thing going on, listen, America is in deep trouble. Deep trouble. Our republic.
This is a good book, Restoring Our Republic.
There we go.
Trump actually shared this, and I'm reading it right now. This is a good book. It talks about our the making of the republic and how we reclaim it before it's too late. It talks about our founding principles, and I think that's just something we need to bring back into the perspective, and that's what's really going on right now as far as the technocracy. It's like founding principles of America reestablished, or the communist China model, and we do not want that.
Right, we do not want that, and I mean, just the whole idea of this is how bad big tech and media has really divided Americans. And they don't see this. They will see people like Trump or just wholesome good folks. Literally the plague. Christianity is the problem. Like people that stand for freedom, they're literally being um, outcasts of what this country was built upon. And you have mobs out there wanting to destroy cities, democratic cities. This is not America. I don't somehow those countries infiltrated this country, and all is because of the deep state, big tech, and this the social media platforms are literally taking over. They're really changing and dividing the American people's dreams, their heart, their vision. They don't even have nothing to stand on, even, and they're literally being controlled by little subliminal messages, and they go ape crazy, and they don't even know why they're doing it. And if they're getting paid, first they were paid. First, some people were paid, and then a whole rally of people think, well, it's because of racism, and so you got to take down the government. Come on, guys. We got black, white, and yellow and purple polka dotted people coming up and said, we have more freedom and intermixed racial things that we can do together as a society. I mean, there's more black judges than ever in Kansas City. There's more black teachers and Asian judges in Kansas City. I mean, come on, guys, wake up. This is a facade, and it's literally destroying America. I mean, if this voting thing, and then they're pointing fingers at votes, you don't have proof. You don't have any fraud proof. Come on, guys. I mean, if we lose, I'm not talking about the presidential election, about Trump being president. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if we lose the ability to make people accountable for their machines, for people's actions, what they can choose who they want to watch their vote. If we on both sides or on all sides of Americans, if we choose and decide to push that under the rug and decide, okay, media is right. We have the presidential elect. That's not even a real office term. Joe Biden's a presidential elect. It's not even real, guys. I mean, people actually believe this thing, and the most popular votes, count all votes, count all legal votes. Man, it keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper. And my next door neighbor, okay, he's a radical, and he's literally being mind manipulated by information coming from sound waves, just by subliminal messaging, and he'll burn your house down, guys. I mean, this is how crazy it is. What kind of world are we living in? I mean, I want to be able to get my kid on the bus and wave to him and say, all right, learn some education, but I can't even trust our schools, man. They're teaching kids to understand what white privilege is and hate the whites, and they're white. What white privilege are you talking about? I talk to black people every day. I have best friends that are people that are black, and they're like, Black Lives Matter is it's a gang. It's just as equivalent to the pointy guys in the white pointy hats. Guys, it's absolutely absurd. If you go on the website Black Lives Matter, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, I actually ain't. So forget about that. If you go on the website, one of their number one things besides the defund the police is get rid of males in the house. No, dude, get rid of dads. What the heck is this demand? And if you don't, we'll burn down your cities. Wake up, guys. But yeah, it's so important, man. It's so important that we understand, hold that book up again. Our Republic, restoring it. It's so important, guys.
Sorry. Yep. Yep.
I just go on rants. I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah. We'll get all the controversial stuff out of the way in this episode, and I'll just take it on my shoulders.
Yeah, we're friends, man. We got to do this again. Everybody loves us.
People watch General Flynn because that's the guy that like was trying to bring the war to a close, and the deep state attacked him as soon as Trump got into office. And Sidney Powell, his lawyer, is now working separately to bring out the election fraud stuff. And you gotta know that they have a lot more than this is really big. And so Flynn, what happened to him could happen to any of us, and that'll be the point where it like starts to peel back and explode and like collapse in on these people, I believe. So
wow.
We should wrap this up though, so that people don't get too afraid to even click on it.
Well, we've had more engagement here, Torrey, with this. I mean, dude, I believe I'm already over 100 comments. I don't know. But wow. Guys, we do need what Zeppelin's saying is truth and transparency, voter protection on blockchain technology. I mean, you can have an app developed that's secured by DigiByte, DigiID for every American in each state and vote, you know? I mean, these things can be simply created. It should have been created 60 years ago. What are we doing, people?
I think they needed to expose fully how corrupt the system was, and I think they have it. They're like waiting in the wings to like really bring in a new system following this, and they're going to do it with the new financial system as well. I think there's a lot of really good things in the horizon. And this is not like done. It's not like, oh, it's just going to happen that way. We don't have to worry about it. Like, but we shouldn't worry anyway. We should just have faith. But yeah. I think there are a lot of good things on the horizon. It's peak crazy right now, though.
Yeah. So, guys, I guess there's very little questions, but hey, go check him out. Torrey Grossman on other, if you want to, guys. He is our DigiByte community member. Go follow him on Twitter. Guys, well, let's see real quick. I need to share this so everybody knows who you are on Twitter. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right.
Whatever I want. You try to get in the way of that, you know.
There he is. President-elect Torrey Grossman. Link. Yeah. What's this over here? What's this pile of rock?
I built a rock wall, and this is when I was working at the permaculture farm and living in a tent for a year and a half in Hawaii, and so that's lava rock, and I created my own like quarry and dug those rocks out of the ground.
Huh.
Yeah, because the forest over there is like built up on, there's topsoil that's like built on top of just total lava, and it's been like they've had earthquakes and stuff, so like the lava's all broken up in these rocks. So I like found like an area where there's a lot of rocks and back in the woods, and we needed to create a rock wall for a garden bed. And I spent like 2 weeks and dug all these rocks out, and like I kind of like the picture because it showcases the process. That started with the big rocks and just put them in at these intervals, and then like by like constantly dividing and using like kind of fractal principles, I just like created what it turned out to be a really nice rock wall. And I don't know.
This is that interview, the psychic war healing Afghanistan lies, and Pat Tillman. That was, dude. I watched the Pat Tillman, and then you're in the DigiByte. I had to do an interview with you, bro. I had to.
Thanks, man. I don't represent the DigiByte or anything. I'm not even like a crypto expert, but I just like thinking about geopolitics, the future, and I'm willing to step forward and speak my mind and have conviction about the stuff I was involved in, and even controversial stuff like the aliens. Like I know a lot of people think that like, you know, it turns people off and scares them. But we need to have the conversation because potentially millions upon millions of people are having these experiences. And when I was in the military, so like, could this be like some sort of thing going on that is a part of the bigger picture? You know, look at all the craziness in the world right now. Like, could it be the government targeting people, you know, or a quantum computer in the future? Like, I want to know, like, but I'll talk.
I have seen a WikiLeak or YouTube leak on kids playing like a video game, killing people with drones, literal drones, executing people. I mean, it's not. This is pretty bad, man. If they had DigiByte technology, you wouldn't be worried about any of that. It's pretty outstanding and crazy, to say the least, of what's really actually going on. But we'll end it here. I gotta go to the bathroom. I know you, Tori, you have a busy life. You got dogs over there.
I go play some foosball tonight.
Yeah, you gotta feed your dogs. I got a cat. Um, anyway, guys, Torrey Grossman. Torrey, I'm gonna play an intro, and we'll see you on the flip side in the DigiByte community. Hopefully, people follow him on Twitter. Embrace him. He's one of our own in all aspects of life. And see, he's one of our own, guys. All right. I am going to end it with the intro. Later, man.
Thanks, dude. Peace.